That deadline came and went. There's no deal from the Bucks. The Bucks apparently have been lowballing him with 2-year offers, with deals. In theory, he should be able to continue to get better. I guess the mitigating thing here is that like he does keep some niggling injuries on him. But it's not like he's somebody that's like has a history of just these major injuries. He obviously missed a chunk of his career in terms of not playing because there was everything that happened in Cleveland to Carolina to LA, blah blah. So I don't suspect that Baker is a quarterback I all of a sudden expect to not be good. And unfortunately for Tampa Bay, you're operating in the quarterback market that's very clearly been set. Trevor Lawrence is an expensive quarterback. Who else? There's a few others in mind. Dak Prescott costs $60 million a year. So in this kind of a market, I think it would be hard to look at Baker Mayfield and say that you should sign for 50 mil and on a short-term deal without security. So it's just a strange stance for me with the Bucks. I just don't get it. And I kind of don't want to just like, I don't want to wrap this up without touching on a situation that I think is kind of related. But Vita Vea requested a trade. Where is... I mean, this is a good tweet. This is actually kind of capturing what I'm going to get at. We'll come back to this. But yes, Vita Vea requested a trade from the Bucks. Amazingly, hold on. This is strange. Anyways, but yeah, Vita Vea on the trade market. I think the reason that he's on the trade market is that he wants more money, probably because Jordan Davis just skyrocketed the nose tackle market. And that puts him in a tough spot where this is a player that clearly has a better history than Jordan Davis, has clearly played better than Jordan Davis up to this point, but is a much older player. So that's where things get a little bit tricky on the market. I think that ultimately he's another player that deserves the bread. Let me look up his age as well, because the way the Bucks are moving has me thinking, are these guys like super old players? How old is Vita Vea? Vita Vea is 31. Oh, okay, similar age. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't look at Vita Vea as a player that's all of a sudden going to get bad. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be hesitant to lock into these guys, it kind of feels like there's a lack of confidence somewhere, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is more of a Todd Bowles issue. And what I'm about to say isn't like fact and isn't something that is something, an objective thing I can prove. But I just get the idea that this organization kind of wants a bit of a fresh start, and you don't get a fresh start by paying two of your more important players on massive deals. And obviously it wouldn't be this year, it would be next year. But I kind of think that this organization, if anything, they're signaling that they want to wipe the slate clean. This is Todd Bowles' last year. This is one last dance. And if he can't get it right here, they're going to clean the slate completely. That's the energy I get, because like, if anything, I feel like there's a doubtful energy that's being misdirected towards these two players, because I don't think Baker and I don't think Vita Vea have done anything to suggest that they're not worthy of money or they're not worthy of big contract extensions. If there's a hesitance to keep the band together, I think it's because of a hesitance. It's because of there being doubts about the team as a whole. And if I were to identify who's responsible for the doubts, I would say that that's more of a coaching thing. So they already let Mike Evans go. I mean, they're kind of in a weird spot with Vita Vea and Baker Mayfield. You're talking about severed / compromised relationships with the three most prominent Buccaneers. I say this all to say, I think the Buccaneers are headed towards a reset. I will not be picking them to win that division this year, because this just screams of a situation that's about to undergo a reset. So this is the takeaway with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I get the feeling that this is a team that is going to undergo a bit of a reset. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers Buccaneers fans, I would just say, like, don't be surprised if this is a down year. and there's a significantly different looking team next year on account of the coach, on account of the major players. I didn't expect this to happen this way. I figured that if they were going to give Todd Bowles another year, they would give him as good of a situation as possible. And Baker saying that what he said in that press conference and Vita Vea demanding a trade are not favorable circumstances. So the question has to be begged, why did you bring Todd Bowles back? Me personally, I had my issues with Todd Bowles. There's definitely streams in the past where I identified that don't know if Todd Bowles is a coach that I would keep if I was Tampa, but nonetheless, me and Tampa are kind of different. So that's what's going on in Tampa Bay. The next place I want to go to is Atlanta, where, all right, there we go. This is the main thing I wanted to look at. So the big deal for me in Atlanta isn't the fact that they had to sign Cooper Rush from the standpoint of like, yeah, Cooper Rush isn't good, but most third quarterbacks aren't good. The concern for me is that Tua and Penix have not really gotten started yet so far in training camp. So Tua, I think, has missed. He's either outright missed time or he's been limited with back tightness. Which, I mean, shit. I'm not incredibly encouraged by an aging quarterback that's not particularly mobile having back tightness. That sounds like a disaster to me. And Michael Penix obviously not being fully back from his knee surgery last year. So you have a brand new coach, a brand new system. You have two left-handed quarterbacks now. You have a right tackle, that Jawan Taylor, that's new because Caleb McGarry retired. And I think the last thing you needed to add to this were your top two quarterbacks not starting training camp. So it does seem like the Falcons offense is going to start behind the eight ball. And considering how big of a season this is, I just think that this can't go well from here. I don't think that this is how a good story starts from the standpoint of the two quarterbacks being out like this. So, yeah, I would be a little bit concerned if I was a Falcons fan. Tua, I mean, I didn't expect either of these quarterbacks to play particularly well this year at all. But your chances of getting the best case scenario, however high that is, are dropping day by day the longer these quarterbacks don't get started with the team. And when I think about the Falcons offense, there are skill position players that you can like. So it is possible to look at Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts and see weapons that you can be excited about. But you won't see the team impacted by those weapons if the quarterback play is substandard. And there's a big issue, again, I think, at right tackle, considering that Jawan Taylor was a failure in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, one of the most brilliant mobile quarterbacks we have in the NFL. And now he's expected to be the blindside blocker of two not particularly mobile quarterbacks that aren't that good. That already was a bit of a disaster. Obviously, we've seen Stefanski coach a lot of bad football teams over the years. He's a coach I can certainly see watch a team go off the rails. And now neither quarterback is started yet in training camp. So all the process of what training camp is in terms of getting things installed, knocking the rust off, all of that gets delayed. So things don't look good. Things don't look good in Atlanta. And again, if they have to see their third quarterback on the field, they're screwed, just like everybody else. But the reality is that for them, they have the single worst quarterback situation going at on this date, August 2nd, 2026, because no other team is in this spot where their top two quarterbacks are missing the start of training camp. So very discouraging things coming out of Atlanta. So that's the second team we've looked at in that division. We are going to pivot from Atlanta to San Francisco. Yes. Okay. So Deebo Samuel is back to the Niners, and this is a move that corresponds with Ricky Pearsall being out for the year. He, I think it was a PCL or an LCL. It was one of the CLs, not an ACL though, that knocked Ricky Pearsall out for the year. which means Deebo Samuel is back. Now, I saw Adam Schefter talk about how the talks with Deebo spanned like way before the injury. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they sounded things out with a familiar face. That being said, this signing is clearly in response to Ricky Pearsall being out. So now the Niners wide receiving core is left with Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Deebo Samuel. So 3 vets and then DeJon Stribling. So this is kind of a weird setup because while I think Mike Evans is still good and he just naturally he has a game that lends to like aging because contested catch kind of a receiver. He's like that's something that's gonna age gracefully. He's a player that struggled with injuries for a long time, and he stepped foot in an organization that has the strangest injury luck / not luck. If the substation stuff has any backing to it at all. So we have already one receiver out for the year. Christian Kirk got hurt, another player that has a long history of injuries, albeit a history of production as well. You have Mike Evans, another receiver with a history of injuries, albeit a long history of production. And then you have Deebo Samuel, who has consistently been declining for the last few years and had his worst year in the NFL last year. And is somebody that we pointed out a lot in this community, the fact that he just doesn't look in shape. While he might be in the best shape of his life, I don't know if Deebo is here to contribute in meaningful ways, especially at this age. For what it's worth, I think Deebo is a very particular player, and he is in the organization that's best equipped to make use of his skill set. But at this point, I just think his skill set's not the same. So I don't expect a whole lot from Deebo. DeJon Stribling, just as is rookie wide receivers, it's tough to expect a lot. That's a receiver that a lot of people are skeptical about. It really feels like the receiving core for the Niners is going to come down to Mike Evans and Christian Kirk, injury gods permitting. So the Niners have a very strange thing going on with injuries, as is they have had an interesting run of things. Yeah, so Jordan James fractured his ribs. Kirk was out. DeJon Stribling had hamstring tightness. This is from July 29, by the way. This isn't even this is from a few days ago. You have this long injury list. Strange things happen. Strange things happen with the Niners, and I just wouldn't be surprised if more of them happen. So Niners in a very strange spot. That's the situation with their receivers. George Kittle is coming back from an Achilles tear that happened in January. So realistically, how much can you expect from George Kittle? It seems like he is ahead of the pace with his recovery, but even still, how much can you expect from a tight end that's ahead of the pace with an Achilles recovery? Like, there's a lot to question here. It seems like their season is going to boil down to Christian McCaffrey yet again. That guy obviously is capable of carrying an offense, but they're asking him to do it again, I think. So it'll be an interesting season for the Niners. They've made strides on the defensive side of the ball, but just if you watch the NFC West preview, something I talked about pretty extensively is that with the Niners, they're usually going to have a talented roster. It just always boils down to injuries. So we'll see how this turns out. We are going to focus on a couple running back. Let's see if there's a tweet that captures what I'm talking about. Okay, there it is. So both Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson, and this might be outdated info by now because I haven't quite been checking every single waking moment for updates on this, but Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson both seem to be holding in for contract, which I think makes sense considering that they both have potential to blow the running back market out of the water with their next deals. And I fully expect that. The talking point here is less about that because I think that that's fairly simple, straightforward, and should happen. The talking point for me is more the fact that this is going to change things quite a bit with these teams because I think both teams have strongly benefited from these players being on rookie deals. I would make the argument that Gibbs and Bijan are the two most important players on those offenses, and they were the two most important players with a lot of with a lot of value stemming from the fact that they were on rookie deals. When you have to pay them appropriately and you begin to rethink the offense and start to find other positions where money has to be saved, I think there is going to be a knock-on effect where both those organizations have to make some home run draft picks to make up for the fact that, these two picks were both home run draft picks and they benefited from it. And they still had their shortcomings. Obviously, the Lions were very close to a Super Bowl. Some would say that they should have been in the Super Bowl. And some would say that they could have beat the Chiefs. But that being said, the Falcons have never been close. They have to pay their best player, trim the fat elsewhere from a salary standpoint, and still find a way to be good. I think it'll be really challenging. In Detroit's case, I think they've kind of already started to experience some of the struggles that come with the fact that a lot of their brilliant, in-house draft picks or like in-house talent that they've drafted have started to get paid. And that means you have to make other home run draft picks. And it doesn't feel like that momentum has kept up with their draft selections. And it's going to get even worse now with Jahmyr Gibbs getting. I think Gibbs and Robinson are going to get easily over Saquon's number of $20 million a year. I would not be surprised if they both get more than like $23 million a year. So I think both of these franchises are going to have things change quite a bit in the next couple of years offensively, because you're about to see two of the biggest running back contracts in history. So that's another thing I thought was worth talking about. What is next on my list? Okay, let's talk about Patrick Mahomes. Let's see what tweets. Okay, I saw that clip. Not going to show. Actually, no. You know what? I can show this clip for people who haven't seen it. So Mahomes, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to let you guys see it. Drops back. Looks right. Looks back to the middle and hits his center in the back of the helmet. So a lot of people are making fun of that. That's not something I look at too deeply. I'm not trying to look for clips. What the hell? Oh my God, that clip is going viral. There's nothing else that comes up when you search. It's just his family and that clip. Oh my goodness. And then I guess one highlight. No way. Okay, you know what? I have to make the search more specific to get what I'm looking for. No way. Did this really not change anything? It's still just that clip? Okay. So this was July 24th. But yeah, Mahomes is cleared to practice. They're talking about how he's ahead of schedule. They are looking to get him back for week 1. My thing is that the way they're doing things and the way they're talking about it, it does feel like they're specifically trying to get him back for week 1. And that's not something I agree with. I think that this is a 10-year situation. Mahomes, in theory, could be your quarterback for 10 plus years from this point onwards. So I think there's far too much at stake to risk this or chance anything. I would not want Mahomes playing until he's 105%, let alone 98%. But it really seems like they're trying to get Mahomes back on the field as quick as possible. He still has a brace on. I've seen some awkward looking videos of him throwing the football. I don't think they should be rushing him back. I don't know how much certain things play into it from the standpoint of Andy Reid is older and really doesn't have years to waste. Neither does Travis Kelce. But I would throw all that shit out the window. I think Mahomes should not play the first 2-3 weeks. He should be healthier than healthy. And the reason I say this is to kind of harken on some personal experiences. I'm an Eagles fan, if you couldn't tell by all of this behind me. When Carson Wentz tore his knee up, and he also had a multi-ligament knee injury, he tried to get back as quick as possible the next year. So he tore his ACL in November, which I think is around the time that Mahomes tore his ACL. And he came back, I want to say, in week 4. Now, in his case, he definitely was pushing to come back as early as possible. I'm quite sure he came back a little earlier than he should have, and he ended up suffering a back issue that knocked him out for the season. Towards like I want to say 3-4, not maybe 5-6 weeks into him playing that year. And I don't think he was quite ever as mobile of a quarterback after that. And of course, the knee injury is one thing, but back injuries are things that kind of alter the trajectory of athletes. And the principle there is that a not fully recovered knee can lead to other kinds of issues in the body. And those other kinds of issues could work in conjunction with the long-term knee damage to alter the capabilities of a quarterback. And I think, again, when you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, the kind of quarterback that you could benefit from for another 10 years, none of this is worth it. There's no one single year, especially when I don't even think the Chiefs roster is that good. There's no one year that's worth messing up everything, like messing up the next decade potentially. So look, I get that you signed Kenneth Walker. I get that this might be Travis Kelce's last year. I get that Andy Reid is probably on a year-to-year basis as a coach right now. It's simply just not worth it. It's not worth it. So if Mahomes is back week 1 against the Broncos defense of all defenses, I truly hope that he's over 100%, because I can't see it being worth it otherwise. So that's the Mahomes talking points. We're going to pivot from one mobile quarterback to another. The talk about Kyler Murray. That's a meme. Wait, what? That's memeing. Okay. One thing that stood out earlier, Kyler Murray delivers the ball with a level of accuracy that JJ McCarthy is still working to do consistently. So this is another pretty consistent thing that I've seen. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't imagine that a lot of people expected JJ McCarthy to outperform Kyler Murray in training camp. So this is going as we expected it to go. I'm just surprised, not surprised. Actually, no, I'm not surprised. I fully understand why they're acting like this is a competition and that it's still a competition. I think the Vikings signed Kyler Murray fully understanding that he would be their quarterback long-term. I just think from a political standpoint, you can't act like you've abandoned all hope with your first-round pick, because then you'll have a hard time trading him one day. Like, you want to make it seem like it's a happenstance thing. Like, oh, well, what do you know? Kyler Murray's better than JJ. What are we supposed to do? Not play him? You got to pretend like that's the case so that when you go to trade McCarthy one day, it doesn't look like you're trading a quarterback that you've more or less abandoned and thrown to the side. So I get that, but this is going as I think most people should have expected it to go. And I've spoken quite a bit about Kyler in Minnesota. I think it's an interesting combination. I think there's a couple examples of improvising quarterbacks that tend to improvise, going to like very structured offenses, and there being like a beautiful middle point that results in a lot of success. And we'll see if they can capture that. But Kyler Murray looks like the guy in Minnesota. And that's something that a lot of people should have expected. But yeah, other things to talk about before we wrap up. We'll stick with the quarterback stuff. Fucking Kirk Cousins, guys. We got to talk about Kirk Cousins again. Why is the search result? Oh, we got AI shit? That's crazy. Yes, so July 28th, not that long ago, Clint Kubiak, the Raiders coach, says, when we go out to practice tomorrow, Kirk Cousins is a starting quarterback. He's the guy, and he deserves it because he's played really good football. Oh, shit. What's up, Peter? But yeah, so Kirk Cousins, as of now, is the starting quarterback. And this is something that we've talked about during one of our streams. It must have been the AFC West preview stream. But we've talked about the whole thing of Cousins versus Mendoza. And it looks like, as the reporting was before training camp, that they're rolling with Cousins and they're going to make Mendoza take the job. There's a video up here, not the AI bullshit. Look at this video of Kirk Cousins moving. Bro looks like an old man. because he is. And the other thing about Cousins is, and to talk about something that with more substance than just him looking old, I remember reading like a person that reviews tape talking about the Falcons offense and how Kirk Cousins wasn't even able to get to like the spots for the Falcons outside zone game. So like when a quarterback hands the ball off to the running back on like a wide zone stretch, the quarterback actually has to run like laterally and meet the running back at a certain spot. And apparently a part of the reason things went bad for him in Atlanta, or like because he did get benched at some point, is because he literally off his Achilles injury was not able to get to the spot to meet Bijan. So that's an issue. I don't get it. I think, and I don't like. I understand the principle of making rookies take the starting job, but in this case, I think everybody understands what the deal is with Kirk Cousins. That man is a guidance counselor essentially. Like he's a glorified guidance counselor in that locker room, and I just don't think anyone is confused about that. So this is one of those practices where I just think that this is bullshit, and at some point Mendoza will play. And he is not a young rookie either. Like he's going to be 23 as a rookie, which is like, there's been 24-year-old rookies, but yeah, like I think Mendoza is going to play at some point. You got Linderbaum for a reason. Like to make the center market like 150% of what it was, because that's what they did. The highest paid center was making like 19 million a year, and then they paid Linderbaum 27. One of the reasons you might overpay for a center like that, I think, is to make life easier for a younger quarterback. So to even that to me is the thing about Mendoza. Facts. What's going on, bro? What's going on, Jez? Hey, Jez, if you have a team, I'll see if there's any news from your team. But yeah, I see there's Peter and Jez arriving as of late. What have I talked about so far? I've talked about how things are weird in Tampa Bay. Talked about how things are really bad in Atlanta because they had to sign Cooper Rush to play quarterback because both their top two quarterbacks aren't ready to play football. We talked about Patrick Mahomes seemingly looks like they're going to try to play him, and I don't like that. Talked about the Niners injuries striking again already. That substation is like undefeated. That substation's longevity and consistency over the years needs to be studied. Talked about, Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs both holding in for new contracts. Haven't committed to Tampa yet since the draft was iffy. Ooh, okay. Hold on, was it Tampa or Jacksonville? Yeah. See, I remember the combo. Okay, but you know what's mad funny though? I don't know if you saw it, but the Jacksonville coach was like, "Oh man, it's not hard to motivate the team because nobody talks about us. You read all the articles, they're about Caleb Williams and how good the Bears are." And I'm like, that's weird. And then Ben Johnson and I think someone on the Bears had something to say about I don't know. There was a response about it, but it's like both organizations they're trying to run the nobody believes in us gimmick. And that was interesting to see. But yeah, there's okay. Next thing we can talk about, I guess, is the Panthers. The Panthers injuries, because they've had it pretty bad. No, it was pretty nasty. But yeah, okay. So the Panthers have had a rough start to training camp. The right tackle out for the start of the season with blood clots. Starting pass rusher out for the season, torn ACL. Chris Brazell, rookie, third-round pick, probably was going to be the wide receiver 3, out for the season as well. This is as of July 30th, by the way. So not even that crazy of in theory there could have been more injuries. So things have been bad for Carolina. They also lost their left tackle in the playoff game against the Rams to a patella tendon injury. So they had to take somebody from Green Bay to play temporarily. They took a offensive tackle in the first round, so at least that worked out. But I mean, I think the Panthers are in a rough spot with this because they paid $30 million a year to Jalen Phillips, because their pass rush was ass last year. And Nick Scourton was one of the young players that was expected to take a jump this year. So they were banking on a big free agency signing and Nick Scourton to have a pass rush this year. And their big free agency signing, Jalen Phillips, has an injury history himself. And now Nick Scourton is out for the year. So yeah, the Panthers are in a really rough spot. To touch on something that we talked about, actually, fuck it, we may as well just run it back with everyone in this division. So the Falcons had to sign Cooper Rush because Tua had back tightness and Penix isn't fully back from his injury. So they just needed an arm in training camp. Like their top two guys are not ready to play football in a new system with a new coach and a right tackle that wasn't good on the Chiefs, who's going to be the blindside blocker with like Jawan Taylor, for the people who don't know who I'm talking about. The Falcons are in a really rough spot. And then we go to Tampa Bay. It was, hold on, I think I found a tweet. Sleep. Okay. Vita Vea demanded a trade. Baker Mayfield talked about feeling disrespected. Mike Evans no longer there. Everything is going wrong in Tampa from the standpoint of like, I mean, they still have they still have Baker and Vita Vea on the roster, but seemingly they both want money that the Bucs aren't willing to give them. You're talking about, again, these three players are the most prominent players that the Buccaneers have. And they're obviously, one of them is gone and they're in a really weird place with the other two. So I don't know, man. If you're the New Orleans Saints, you just have to stay the course and the teams around you might fall apart. Yeah, it's all bad out here. It's all bad. Yeah, no, the Panthers are in a really rough spot, man, because the thing about the Panthers is they don't even have something they can like rely. They don't have something stable that they can rely on. Like as a team, they're still in the phase of like figuring out who they are as a team. And if you're just losing important players to season-ending knee injuries to start, it really doesn't help figure those things out. And with Bryce Young, like you kind of still don't know exactly what you have there. Just they're at a crossroads. They've been at a crossroads, and it just got murkier. Their hopes of getting some clarity. I guess Penix still feels uncomfortable with guys falling around his knees. I mean, shit, dude, I would be too. I would be too. But yeah, man, Kevin Stefanski currently on track to lead another bad team. Again, like something I mentioned earlier is that you definitely don't look at Kevin Stefanski and say he's going to make sure the team stays out of the gutter. Like he has had his name, like he's been responsible for some very bad teams. I'll just put it that way. They're going to go 5-12. Yeah, they're going to not be good, man. They're going to not be good. Other things worth talking about. I think I got through all the stuff I mainly talked about. If you guys have any other talking points you want to, hold on. Monken quarterback competition. I want to see if this gets me the tweet that I was looking for. Okay, hold on. Once we get further along in pads, the full installs are in, we get to compete against other people. That's really when I'm going to be able to see it because I haven't coached any of the 4 quarterbacks till now. Brother, I'll be so real with you. This quote sounds like a guy who just hates both his options, which is not something that's far-fetched. Which is not something that's far-fetched at all. But I remember reading this quote and I was like, holy shit. He's saying the quiet part out loud, which is these guys are ass. So this is just fun to read from a head coach. I feel really bad for Todd Monken. Let me tell you who he reminds me of. Houston Texans coaching history. There's a guy he reminds me of. Who is it? Where is it? David Culley. For the people who don't know, bro. David Culley. So Romeo Crennel was, I think, an interim coach. Yeah, coached 12 games, I guess. Yeah. Well, David Culley was just a random coach that the Texans hired. I mean, I guess with Lovie Smith, like on paper, the proper comparison would be Lovie Smith, but at least Lovie Smith is a guy. David Culley felt like a stopgap coach to just pass time until they got somebody that they actually fucked with, right? and he never really had a chance. They handed him a horrible team. It was going nowhere. When they hired him, it felt like it was going to be a 1-year thing. And he was kind of just there to get paid to navigate a very difficult part of where the franchise was, right? David Culley is who, when I see Todd Monken, I just feel like he's in a David Culley kind of a situation because the roster, I mean, they just traded Myles Garrett. He's giving these weird ass quotes about the quarterback position. A lot of their most important players on offense are young. So you look at Judkins and the 2 receivers they drafted, right? Like some of the most important players. Fannin, another really important player. Rookies and second-year players. The offensive line is full of just random people that weren't good in the NFL last year. Yeah, I think the it's just funny to see it, but like I don't think Todd Monken has a hope. I think that they're in a really, really rough spot. David Culley was a Ravens coach before the Texans hired him. I mean, should he be? Who knows? He may have ended up being a Ravens coach after that as well because they got his ass out of here very quickly. They're a 1-1 contender. They're a first overall pick contender without a quarterback. 100%, man. The Falcons' schedule is let's find it because I think the prediction is still here. Ooh, we had the Falcons at 8-9. Oh man, without a quarterback, it looks very spooky. It looks very spooky. Steelers, yeah, the week 1, healthy TJ Watt, that's a problem. The divisional games in that division are always going to be kind of a toss-up, but Green Bay, Baltimore, Chicago, Niners, early in the year before the injuries get too serious. Cincinnati, kind of when they start to pick up. Kansas City, hopefully when Mahomes is in the swing of things. Vikings could be good. Lions, in theory, could be all right. You get the saving grace game here against the Browns, who are maybe one of the only teams that are more dysfunctional. I think the Commanders could be a bit of a mess, but also they could still be better than Atlanta. And yeah, again, the divisional games here are going to probably inflate their record more than it should be. But no, the Falcons situation is dire, man. It's really, really dire. But yeah, let me see what else is worth talking about. Saints lost a defensive tackle out for the year, but that I don't know if he was going to be a starter. What else is on my list? Oh, actually, I'll just touch on this before I wrap the stream up. Now that Peter and Jez are here. What? Oh, yeah. But basically, Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson are both holding in for contracts. And it seems like they both want like way beyond Saquon Barkley's $20 million a year. And the point that I wanted to say about this was more just that I think both of these deals will change these franchises just from the standpoint of we've seen how far these offenses have gotten with these players being the most important players in the offense on rookie deals. But if you cash these guys out for the highest running back contracts ever, I just think that the trimming the fat you have to do with your salary at other positions is really going to mess these offenses over. I think the Lions, I trust them a little bit more in terms of replacing talent and drafting well because I've just seen more of it. But a team like Atlanta, I just feel like a big Bijan contract could really just fuck that organization over. I do not trust that operation to cut vets and replace them with proper young players. Detroit hasn't really had a last couple of years. I don't think they've drafted that well. They obviously had a crazy run of drafting to lead into like their team that went to the NFC Championship game. But I think if you look at the running back market, over the cap running backs, the thing too is that like by beating the number of Saquon, like, okay, look at it this way, right? Saquon is at $20 million a year. McCaffrey is at $19 million a year. Then there's I would say a pretty big drop to like the next tier of backs that are getting 16, 15, 14, 14, 14, right? Like the bulk of the NFL operates in this range of 12 to 16 in terms of running backs getting paid. There's obviously 2 standout backs here that deserve bigger deals. But if you talk about Bijan and Gibbs getting paid 22 to 23, you're just talking about like teams that are going to be paying running backs almost twice as much as like 85% of the NFL. And when I think about those two operations navigating that situation, I just don't see it working out. again, way bigger concern for Atlanta, in my opinion. But yeah, like those two cap sheets are about to get drastically different. Because yeah, the running back market seems like it's on the cusp of changing. And we'll see how big of a number Gibbs and Bijan can get. But if they push 25 with this new deal, oh man, nothing will be the same in Atlanta. I think things are just going to get really bad in Atlanta. So that's where it's at, people. We're 1 week into training camp. We have seen, I mean, I think most teams have people reporting to camp on Monday or Tuesday. Practices got underway Wednesday, so 3-4 days into this world of people practicing and people getting hurt and players demanding trades and players getting new contracts, we've had a flurry of news, and we're going to continue to have news like this pop up. So I'll be doing a stream like this probably every 3-4 days during the training camp period. There's going to be some preseason streams at some point. I'm going to pick one of those nights where there's like 8 games, so that if I go live, I can just find games where starters are playing and go to them. So watch out for that. I guess that's going to be like a preseason red zone kind of a stream. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. Keep your eyes peeled, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, we're about to get way more active on this channel because football season is back, people. So I'll probably see you guys midweek. I would guess Wednesday or Thursday, and then again next weekend. So take care. Big up. I'll see you guys around. We are out.